Get ready and strap in for the One Love HTX show, where all our conversations are always raw, unfiltered, and never staged. We can also be found on Instagram, all major streaming platforms, and westcliff.org. Check us out at onelovehtx.org for more info or ways to support the show. Now get ready to dive into conversations you won't always have in church with your hosts, Joshua Duffy and Daniel Salsi. All right.
Ben, hello.
You know what would be fun is if we, one of these days, try to do that music just ourselves, like beatboxing. And that would be the intro.
You'd have to do drums because you're a drummer. And I'll do the guitar.
I like the other version better.
We're not very good. We got to get into it. We got to practice. We got to have band practice.
We need a shout out from Puerto Rico. We got a shout out right now from Puerto Rico. It's on.
Yeah. We're ending the year. Puerto Rico did a shout out to us and said hello and actually showed us that somebody truly was listening and this wasn't bots.
Like if we had like a sponsor, we would totally go into a board meeting after this and go, the next show's in Puerto Rico. The next show.
Right. Ooh, that would be good.
We have a fan base there. Yeah. Sir, Josh, there's only one guy. Believe me, there's a fan base there. We feel it.
He is sharing it with the country. 67 more to go.
I love it.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Well, where are we at? Okay. Last episode. One Love. No, not the last, but the last episode of the year, season 4. Here we are. We are now December 31st, New Year's Eve. It's my birthday.
Wow.
It's my birthday. Did you know that?
Is it still appropriate to act? Like, how old are you?
Yeah. You said that under your breath.
I literally just spoke everything that was going through my mind. I just thought it and said it. Forget it. You don't need to answer that question. You don't even need to answer it.
Well,
doesn't matter. I'll just
say this. I walked into my daughter's workplace, and she's just so you know, she's a facialist. She does head spa stuff, but she's a facialist. She specializes in that. And I walked in, and the lady behind the counter, I go, "Hey, is Rain here?" And she looked at me really weird. And I go, "Oh, I'm her father." And she goes, "What? You don't look like her father." And I go, "Like, have you met? What? I haven't met you before." And she goes, "No, you don't look like a father. You're too young." We're going to leave it right there.
Hey, take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah, this gray is premature.
Wow, it's premature.
Hey, you know what? Did you even notice? Do you notice anything weird?
Oh! Not until you whipped your head back and forth and nothing hit me in the face. Wow.
Yeah, I've had long hair for years. I chopped it all off.
Who did that?
So, and I actually reached out I told Sonny, because Sonny said he had a moment. I don't know if you remember the time of several years back where he cut off all his dreads. Years ago. And now he finally grew them back. But I remember him saying there was something going on, just spiritually, that just needed to be done. And that's what I felt. I felt like,
wow.
There were just, I know this is weird, and I don't tell this to many people, but now I just told it in 68 countries.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's just a secret between us.
Yeah, I just had this moment. Things were just kind of weird in a lot of different places in my life, and I was just in prayer, and there was a new beginning happening. I really feel a lot of that, with ministry and life and family and everything going on. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to cut. It's gone.
It's really gone.
It's gone. Yeah. It's short. And it really felt, I can't explain it. I know that sounds so stupid. Like your hair? It's just your hair. No, it signified a whole new beginning.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll grow it back out. This is like the 5th time I grew it out in my life. It doesn't matter.
I said goodbye to mine so long ago, I don't even remember. So I think that's awesome.
But you could still grow a tail if you wanted to, right?
Oh, I could grow a tail. Wow, very, very cool. Okay.
Just the back part of the mullet? Could you grow the back part of the mullet?
Oh, the party?
Yeah.
Yeah. My struggle is the business.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. All right.
The backside of the roll of toilet paper is fine. It's... You know what I mean?
Unfortunately.
So, Jesus... I mean, like, there's nowhere to take this where there's remotely a connection.
No, this is perfect. This sets it up perfectly because this episode is just a good end of the year. What usually happens at the end of the year? Everyone makes their what do they call that? End of year
Resolution.
Yeah, resolutions, and they got stories and where I want to be and everything else.
We all become like 8-year-olds. We're like, I promise I'll be better. I'm going to do this now. None of us do it. We try it for like 2 weeks and it's over. You know what I mean?
Is that Mickey?
I don't know. But for some reason, I just saw like adults talking like little kids. And that's what we do.
Oh
like,
my God.
it's going to all be different this time.
That sounded like Mickey. That was the it's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
I am now my high school weight. All right. So, with all that being said, I wanted to talk because, and again, this is off the cuff. Where are we? We're at One Love HX podcast where Duffy never has a clue of what's coming. I want to talk about, rather than the resolutions and everything else, I want to reflect on the cool, stinking stories of God. Because what he's done before, he will do again.
Yeah.
And he's never changing, right? He's the same as he was in the past, as he will be in the future. And I think that's just the coolest thing. So our resolutions, not to squash them. Yeah, great. Put goals. Do things. Do things for health and everything else. But thinking about kind of the last episode, we kind of ended on the stresses of the holidays and the craziness and the loneliness and the mental health and the things that people are going through and all of that. Yeah. All right. What are we going to do as we align ourselves with the relationship of the greatest gift of all, Jesus Christ, when we do that? And I've heard those stories over and over again. I remember one of my favorite is actually Brian Head Welch, when he found himself going, I can't do this anymore. But I can't stop. I can't stop meth.
Right.
You are going to have to take this away from me.
Right.
And I remember that story so clearly. It was cool where he said he rolled up his $100 bill like he always did. He had his meth and he said, I'm going to do it because I can't stop. So if you want me to stop, you're going to have to take it away from me. And he said, I took that snort and I went through it and I couldn't get high. That is like, what? How do you not? He said, I couldn't get high. And he goes, and I threw it all down the toilet. And that was the last time he ever did meth. And I love those stories. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to just talk about, is there any story you can remember? It doesn't have to be that crazy. You don't have to talk about smoking meth or snorting meth. Let's hope you have.
Well, last Sunday.
But any encounters with God, just give him glory, like the cool stories, anything that's just off the cuff. And if you don't have one yet and you want to think about it, I got one.
Yeah. While I'm thinking about it, as you're talking, my brain automatically went to, because we're talking about hair. And like what's kind of an out there story with hair, and that's weird but epic. And all like it kind of like a lot of it comes together. Yeah. That's it. Honestly, that's where my brain power has been devoted to since we finally, halfway focused this podcast episode. And it's the story of Elisha, and he's bald. So he's my guy. Okay. But he's coming in behind Elijah. And Elijah is epic, and he's the one that, everyone's trying to figure out, is Elijah coming back? Elijah goes up in a chariot, up to heaven, and Elijah's dressed wild and looks wild, and and John the Baptist in many ways would like mirror that, and Jesus would make that clear, like, yeah, Elijah was prefiguring, John the Baptist. But on the other side of that epic person is Elisha, who's like, I don't even have cool hair. I'm bald, man. Like,
and wait, before you go on, because this is confusing.
Yeah.
When you don't know, because this happened before. You said Elijah. And
Elisha comes after Elijah. So, and Elijah he's got the wild animal clothes. I mean, it's like him and John the Baptist have an interesting mirroring effect. And then Elijah's epic. And, this story would kind of haunt everyone seemingly in and around Jesus, because they're always trying to figure out, like, we always heard this story. It's like he coming back, and,
Right.
So Elisha follows Elijah, and the concerns immediately for him are founded. He doesn't have the look. In fact, he's bald. And what it's a weird story. Speaking of weird and cool, is that this group of young men, like teenage, are taunting him for being bald. It's something like 40 of them. Yeah. They're literally making fun of them. And yes, this is in the Bible. This isn't like a remake of something. Okay? They're taunting him and making fun of him specifically for being bald, for having my particular struggle in life. And this is why I love this story. And Elisha doesn't appreciate it, and he calls down a curse upon them, and a wild bear at his prompting comes out and mauls like 40 of these young guys.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hardcore. Like, careful when you go after a bald guy that loves the Lord. And there's a lot of interesting kind of deep stuff that's with that as to why were the young men even out there. Most likely they were in an organized kind of cohort to be primed and taught about the ways of the false god. Yeah. And so they kind of already had kind of this, this air about them already as well.
They were already doomed for Sheol.
Yeah, there's several layers to it, but it's cool because it's like he's bald. They make fun of him for being bald, and he calls out a wild bear, a wild beast that like mauls them. I don't know if they got killed or not, but they definitely got mauled.
Right.
And I kind of dig that. Well, then what's crazy is then when Jesus shows up, that's the only time Elisha is mentioned. And it is right in the little speech that Jesus gives that makes the Pharisees and the teachers of the law take him outside and want to stone him.
Oh, yeah.
Is him dropping the thing about Elisha. Like, basically, like, you guys didn't listen to any of these people, including Elisha. Like, and oh, by the way, he points out that Elisha got so fed up with your descendants that God even used him to minister to these other neighboring tribes whose descendants you still condemn and malign and minimize to this day. So Jesus then even kind of, not weaponizes, but he reminds them, you're playing the same game with me. So it's crazy. And that's when, if you're at least familiar with, they took him out on a hill or whatever, out on a cliff, and they wanted to stone him. Well, it's because he doesn't just drop the name Elisha, but he reminds him that Elisha's Old Testament ministry, so to speak, was to all the same kinds of people that they would, see as being inferior to them. So, so Jesus pokes at the bear, so to speak, on a number of levels on the heels of this epic bald-headed guy.
I love it.
So, I mean, that's a weird story, right?
That is a weird story.
And I dig it, man.
That's a weird story.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Just be careful, bald guys you make fun of. They may know bears. I guess that's...
How many times have you used that with some kids? You want to make fun of your pastor?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story.
And then nothing happens. Where are you? Like a crisis of faith because I called down a bear here in Houston, Texas, and it did not show up. So.
It did not. I love it. Okay, so I want you to also think any stories in your own life that were epic, weird, strange
Man.
that you can think
Well, you
of.
go. You said you had one.
Okay.
You come in and
Yeah.
I'll.
Yeah, I think I may have alluded to this in the past, but I've really wanted to share this because it just shows the power of God and the awesomeness of Him. We'll make this the shortest possible. The time when my wife and I, years and years ago, were almost on the verge of divorce. I had sent her away because I couldn't deal with my own sin and craziness, and I thought it'd just be easier that way. And we were just going to get a divorce. And as she was away, I had this prompting. She started going back to church before I did, and she was involved in this church in Huntington, California.
Okay.
And I had gone there a couple of times with her when I was in town, but I was traveling 75% of the time. So I had this wild urge. I was like, that's the only church I know anyone out here in California as we've been living there. And maybe I'll go there and try to see if I can make some sense of where we're at in the craziness of our almost doomed marriage.
Right.
And so I grew up, again, a traditional churchgoer. I was a box checker for Sunday. That's what our family did for so long. And I knew there was what they call a benediction. Every church had a benediction. And,
Right.
you know, just wait for it and you can go down and talk to somebody. But I was afraid to go down when they made the call because I was afraid, and this is shame, this is guilt, this is what it does to you. I was afraid that one of her friends might see me and just know that something was going wrong. Like everyone's a mind reader and everyone, you know, sees the future. I don't know what was going through my head except shame. And so I said, I can't go down there when they do the benediction, but I'm going to wait until the majority of the church leaves, and then I'll go down there at the last minute and talk to somebody. Because, you know, they say, and there'll be someone down here, just come on down. So I waited for the church to almost exit. I saw one man still down there, and I raced down there to talk to him. He was very tall, in a very nice suit. And I said, I just need someone to talk to. Very normal looking,
right.
You know, like Clark Kent type guy. And took me to this back door behind the stage. And as we walked into this hallway, it was set up in a very like counseling way. There were rooms on the left and rooms on the right, and doors. And then when you looked inside, there was a little table, almost like Asian style, where there's just cushions on the floor and a little table around it. And you'd go in there and talk. I was so distraught. I had so much stuff going on in my head. I was crying a lot and just trying to figure things out with God. And we ended up going into this one room and sitting down, and I just threw up everything on him. This is where we're at. And he said, well, what are your thoughts? And I said, I think we made a mistake. I think we were doing life wrong, and this is truth. This is where I was. I said, I don't think she's my soulmate. And we should never been divorced because she wasn't my soulmate. I need to go find my soulmate, which is to me now the funniest thing. I don't believe in soulmates now. I think, you know, it's just not a thing. I think God is, yeah, anyways, we'll get back to that one day.
Yeah.
But so he looked at me, listened to everything I had to say, and in the calmest voice, he said, can you describe to me, when you think about God, who you think God is? What are your descriptions if you had to describe him? And I thought that was kind of odd. And I said, well, sure. I said, I think God's love. He's great. He's perfect. He doesn't make mistakes. And I went on and on and on and on. And he listened and he goes, cool. And he said, when you and your wife got married, he said, did you do it with the church and the covenant of God? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, did you, and he kind of explained the whole covenant and everything. And I go, oh yeah. And he goes, so you're telling me you surprised God? And I go, what? And he goes, well, God knew you'd make that covenant with him, and you're a child of God. He goes, I don't care how much you want to spin this, that maybe you stepped away from God for a little bit. He goes, you were always a child of God the second you received him as a young child. And he said, so you made a covenant. And that covenant, you as a human might want to break. But he said, but God won't break it.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, yeah. So it made me think, like, and that wasn't really, it wasn't a shameful thing, but it was like, okay, I'm seeing my side, but I just described who God is. And yeah, if he's perfect, he's not shocked by it. And if he is who I believe he is, then he has the ability to fix this. So something's going on here. And so I thanked him. He prayed with me. I left. I got back to the house in California, ended up calling my wife, and I said, you need to come home. I need to get you on a plane home. And I'm not saying it was back to just roses. It was 4 or 5 years or more of working this out, getting our baggage and everything that was there for so long. But he did it. He did it. We're still married to this day, going on 28 years, 2 wonderful kids. But here's the crazy story. So after she got back, we started going to church again. We started to get counseling. And I started to go to church with her every time I was in town. And I loved this church. And I thought, I need to go find this guy. This guy that talks sense into me. And so I went down to talk to Bob, one of the pastors. He was the assistant pastor. Is that what you call him? Assistant pastor?
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I told him the whole story. And I said, I got to find this guy. He said, what was his name? And I said, John. And I said, he was real tall, looked kind of Clark Kentish, normal looking, nice suit, blue suit, the whole bit. And he was like, So I don't have anyone that stays up here during that time. And I go, well, maybe he's a fill-in or something. He said,
a backup.
Yeah, he said, no, Daniel. He goes, everyone who's up here, we know who they are. They're trained because we don't just let anyone stay up here. And as soon as he said that, I remembered. Again, remember, I was distraught. I was just crazy where I was with what was going on with me and my wife, and I just wanted someone to talk to. When he took me to that back room and I described those rooms that were on each side, I immediately remembered at that point, we did not go into a normal room with pillows and tables. We walked in and sat in a broom closet. And it did, at the time, it just didn't, I didn't care.
Yeah.
But as I look back, I'm like, why did we sit in a broom closet? That was kind of weird. And I said, no, this guy, I'm telling you, he goes, Daniel, he goes, I can show you in the directory everyone who's up here. And I said, please do. And so he busted out the directory and showed me the 4 or 5 people that are typically up there, and neither of them matched.
Wow.
And I looked at him and I was like, what in the world? He said, well, he goes, you may have had an incredible encounter with the Lord. Angelic, Christ, I don't know. He said, but how do you feel? And I go, well, it put me on track. And he said, it is what it is.
Dang.
That was my weird wake up, one of my wake up experiences.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
crazy. Weird, huh? Like, it's not like, Twilight Zone.
Yeah, but to be honest, it's so out there that, like, if you call that crazy, you really can't call anything else crazy, because it's at like the next level of whatever.
Yeah.
Next level, man.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. So, is he just like that story you told of Elijah,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
the craziness of that all?
Yeah.
Is he still that same God? Yes.
Yes.
And I can say that.
Yep.
And that's where my faith is prompted. Like, you can go through scientific whatever and say it, but you can't take away what I've experienced in a relationship with God.
Oh, that's so, wow, that's good. I need to leave and go have a better life.
Whatever.
So I can tell. Like, just give me like 3 years and I'll come back. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know if this is, I'm trying to think if this is like the best one. I mean, there's some that are, like Jesus showing up in some really, really dark situations, but that will completely change the vibe of this. But I will say that one that's kind of ironically not like of the marriage thread. I was about to combine the word marriage and thread. It's like of the red. We got married, and within 6 months of being married, we moved to the seminary in St. Louis, Missouri. That's awesome and terrible at the same time. We had no jobs lined up, no plan. I really couldn't work for the seminary at that time. I wasn't technically a student, and I went there the summer before I became a student. So I had 3 months where I was hurting. We had a connection to a retailer in the area that got Mallory a chance to get on working at this one place. Obviously, I'm trying to protect it for reasons that'll become clear in a moment. And everything started out great. Now, keep in mind, we'd only been married 6 months, and at that time, as I was becoming a student then, several months later, I would be assigned to a church. And keep in mind also that our dating life was actually really cool and unorthodox. I mean, for months, we would go to different churches together, and then I would cook for her, she would cook for me, and we would talk, and like we kind of built what we had upon a life that involved worshiping God. It was very much in the center of it. It was very cool. Well, once we got there, I'm assigned to a church, and there was a lot of wild things happening where she was working. And one guy was dealing drugs, and on his break, he would deal drugs out the back door of where she worked. Another person, because of what they did within this particular business, had all of these passes to strip clubs. And so when you came in, he would give you the free passes for your group before you even bought anything. And then the trifecta of it all was that the head manager was having an affair with another person that worked there at the same time, and his wife, the manager, it was a worship leader in a very large church in the area.
Oh.
So this is the environment that my 6-month bride was in, and it was very toxic and demeaning. And you can imagine if that's what you're getting the moment you walk in, that's setting a tone of how you're going to handle or even talk to anyone who proceeds to help you, aka my wife, right?
Right.
So the couple with the affair decided they wanted to have more couple time, I guess. And what that looked like was my wife was now going to start working on Sundays. And they made that unilateral decision. And what was initially protected was no longer protected. And so as we become, as months start to drag on of this, and her experiences are very, very toxic, and what's going on with men in those environments is toxic and not going well. I'm under a ton of stress and regretting all my life choices because the seminary I was at, the first 30 weeks are either Greek or Hebrew or both within 30 weeks. Introducing it, teaching it, while introducing and teaching the other one all at the same time is extremely hard. I'm not doing well. I can't go back to the place that I had in Houston. That job had already moved on, and it was not going well. And then on top of that, like for being a young couple, we're away from all of our friends. Money is tight. I'm working side jobs. The job she has, though it's helping to, in large part, to pay our bills, we don't have a lot of money left over. It's stress and pressure on every level, and we just started this thing. And it didn't take long. I don't want to speak too much for her here. I can say that, like, we were not moving in a very good direction, and I was not a fan of hers at this point. And there just wasn't a lot of good things in our interactions from that point for a while.
Right.
And so I felt this prompting from God to fast, and fast for my marriage. And I don't remember if it was 24 hours or 30 hours or whatever. And honestly, that in the grand scheme is not important. But I did. And I just remember at the end of it having such clarity. And the clarity was like, I felt God speaking to me in his, through the Spirit. You started this whole thing living life together this way, like carrying out life together. I don't mean living together, but like carrying out life and you were dating and engaged. Like I was in the middle of it and I'm not in the middle of it. And that's your problem.
Wow.
Like, and if you don't address that, that's the issue. If you want to know the bottom line button, that is the problem right now. If you want to know how to untangle you're so many levels, and that's what became clear. Like that was very simple and straightforward. You started out worshiping me and I was in the middle of what you were doing. I'm not right now. And so she came home. I'm not one to pull rank, in our marriage. I am the spiritual leader, but we operate often as a team. There's a lot of things that she's gifted at and is able to see some things, and I lean on her and she leans on me. And this was though a scenario where she came home and I said, I love you. I've been fasting about this and been praying about it. And I'm not actually asking you for your opinion or approval. I'm talking to your boss tomorrow. So I got in the
car.
The next day I got in the car, and while I'm driving there, I call him. So there was no chance of getting out of it. I said, I'm on my way. I'll be there in whatever it was, 20 minutes. He was a little nervous. He said, what do you want to talk about? I want to talk about Mallory, and I'll be there shortly. Meet me at the Taco Bell. I don't want to talk to you at where you work. So we went into Taco Bell, and he sat down, and I said, I got to tell you, man. I said, I'm not saying we're going to get divorced. I said, I'm going to tell you that if divorce is 1,000 steps away, I feel pretty confident I've taken a few in that direction. I said, as a kid, we would go to Galveston, and we'd be at the beach, and my family would set up like their tents and stuff, and I'd be playing with my family and my cousins. And after like an hour, I'd look up and I would panic because I didn't see my family. And I would realize they were like 200 yards up the coast, that it was the current that had pulled me away and I didn't even know it. And I said, that's what's happening here. I said, we built what we have on worshiping God, being in the middle of it, him being in the middle of it, and we've lost that. And he looked at me and he said, yesterday, now keep in mind, yesterday was when I was praying and fasting. He said, yesterday I pulled up to an intersection and I saw this dilapidated house. It was the only one like it in the whole neighborhood. All the other houses are nice. All the other houses have nice yards. It was the only one that was overgrown and the house was falling apart. And he said, out of the blue, I had a scripture that hit me. 1 Chronicles 16:22. I don't even know what 1 Chronicles 16:22 is. He's like, that's the verse that hit me. He goes, and that verse is, do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm.
Whoa.
And then he looked at me and he put both hands up and he said, I don't want any part of that. So you can go back to worshiping on Sunday. And then that was it. We started going to church again. She started getting that time off. And that set the tone from that point on. But I've never experienced that before. That's not a regular thing. I mean, that's why it's a crazy story. Dude. Like yours,
that's epic. That's like next level. And you can't, you're going to end up stopping there. I know you are. You don't get a verse like that.
No, that's weird.
Do you know anything about him? Did he have a...
Well, he used to be in the church years ago, right? And he drifted away from it.
Oh.
And now he got into this affair and he didn't go. He wasn't part of that anymore. But, even for church-going people, like, 1 Chronicles 16:22. Like, who... I bet I could line up 1,000 pastors, and I bet 900 plus are going to strike out on that little verse.
Yeah.
So it was like... And he said it was out of nowhere that it hit him. And he started talking about how he couldn't understand why that connection to a home
right
falling apart And he was like, I don't have Bible verses that come to me. Why did I have a Bible? You know, so he spent like the whole previous day baffled as to what was this verse about? And why is it when I was looking at this house? And what does it mean? And then 24 hours later, he's looking at me, who's studying to become a pastor. And that's when the light bulb moment happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Isn't that just amazing how God works? And I love the other aspect of it you're talking about. And I'm kind of envy that part of it was the fasting. I've never really, like, I've fasted, kind of like, what do you call it? Just healthy, reasons and things like that. But I've never been able to, like, truly fast.
Yeah.
I do intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
I love food too much. And I've asked the Lord, like, can canes be part of that fasting? If I just eat canes, is that it? I just say only canes. Is that cool? Is that legit? No, it's not.
Only if it's a small fry, Daniel.
But no, that's really cool. And I've heard that before, just the clarity that comes from the complete dependence on God during that time. I love that.
Well, and I realized Mallory, she wanted me to fight for us, but was not clear what or how. And she never would have pushed for me to go to that direction.
Right.
And so there was a little bit of, every now and again, it's not often, but every now and again, like, it's between you and Jesus, and you're gonna have to make some tough calls, man.
Right.
And like, and I think it proved to be huge.
Yeah.
It got everything back on track.
Was she in total awe when you came back and told her the story?
Yeah, her mind was blown too.
Wow.
And then that was all it took. And I think, like you, it's not like we don't have we have ups and downs and seasons and everything, but like, there's no doubt in my mind we were on a path that was not good, and that was a huge moment for us. So I thank God for giving me something like in your situation that neither one of us deserved or earned. It was, in our own way. The parallel I would say is there's a desperation that's there.
Right.
There's a desperate heart. Please, I don't know what else to do anymore. I don't even know that this is the right thing that I'm doing between you and I, Lord. I'm not sure, but I pray you'll honor it. And I think it's cool when it's because he's not a transactional God. He's a transformational God.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that when on the other side of us kind of stumbling through our desire for help and need for help, that he honors the desire, even if however we chose to execute it wasn't perfect or great, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. Wow. Okay. That's really cool. I got one more. And if you have anything else to, this one was weird, unexpected, and it's kind of like you. I'm gonna have to keep the story clean, but this was a family that I absolutely adored. There was a man who was like a father, and another guy that was like a brother. And I'll just, I can't go too deep into it, but somehow we ended up in a lawsuit situation, and it was more to protect him. It's just the way he did life.
Yeah.
And so we kind of split our relationship, and we were sitting at the table, and I got a knock at the door, and as I opened it, it was nighttime. There was a constable standing there, and I kind of freaked out. Anytime you see a constable at your front door,
of course.
Like, what have I done that I don't remember, and what has come back from my past to haunt me? So I'm like, my brain, my Rolodex is like, what did you do? And he goes, the first thing he said was, "You're not in trouble.
Okay.
Hold on." And I was like, oh, okay. He goes, "I have to deliver this." And I was like, okay. Then he handed it to me. I walked inside, opened it up, and it was a lawsuit. And It was just really, so I took it to my friend. My friend was like, "What is going on?" I go, "I don't know. Like, this was like family. I don't understand it. I love this person. Like, I don't know what's happening." And he said, "No, this isn't right. This is right." Again, I got to leave some of the details out just for safety's sake. But he's like, "No, we're not doing this. I have a full-time lawyer. This is a very wealthy man that I know. He said, I have a full-time lawyer on hand at all times. I'm just going to have him take care of it, and we'll see what happens." And he was kind of going for the jugular, and I kept saying, "I really don't want to go for the jugular. I just want it to go away. Like, let's just be done with it." And started praying, and anyways, he couldn't get them to stop. And there's a law. This was all new to me. If you have a lawsuit coming from anywhere else, even in Texas, but this one happened to be coming from California. If you have a lawsuit coming in, you can't sue back, and that's the goal. Is you want to sue them back because what it'll do is it'll put both of you in the lawsuit, and you're both like, okay, let's just settle, let's just be done, like checkmate type thing. But because a lawsuit was already given, I can't do anything back that is too close to what the lawsuit is.
Right.
It has to be something totally different.
Right.
For the courts to accept it, and then you can have a checkmate. But we couldn't. It just wasn't working. All of a sudden, he had this great idea, and he says, "I know what it is. I know what we have to do. I'm going to take it and get it approved." And I said, "Great." I'm still stressed out. Like, in my head, I'm thinking we're about to lose everything. I don't know, and it wasn't even like that. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, it was really just a scare tactic for whatever reason. But I'm in turmoil. I'm in chaos, and I can't sleep, and I'm having anxiety and everything. And I remember laying in bed that night, knowing the next day my lawyer's going to go over there. And I was like, "Lord, I can't go to sleep. I'm going to need you to put me to sleep. Like, I cannot go to sleep." And that was the last thing I remembered. And I remember just being out cold. And I had a dream, and I was in this room. It was just an open room of it. The only way I'm going to describe it is it was space. It was just space. But we were in it. And in the other side of this space, I see this man. Very much like the story I said before. Like, the guy was put together, great suit, great hair, everything. I'm walking up to this man knowing, like, this guy, it wasn't financial, it wasn't money, but you just know, walking up to this suit that he was wearing, that this guy was special. Like, he had it together. This is not, a Target suit. This was like top of the line, quality, crafted by God. Like, it was that, like, crazy. But I walked up and I knew who he was in my dream. I can't tell you who he was now, but in my dream, I knew him. And I said, "Why isn't he listening?" Because my prayer up to this point was, "God, I know who you are. I know that you can change this man's heart in his dreams. You can speak to him.
Yeah.
You can go back to what we had. This was like a father to me, and I was like a son, and I don't understand what happened and why we're at this point. Please make it stop, and please make it go away. Talk to him. Talk to his heart." And I said, "Why aren't y'all talking to him?" And he said, "We are talking to him, but he's not listening, and his heart is hardened." And I was like, "Oh." And he said, "But don't worry." He said, and I'll leave the name out of it, but your lawyer has favor with us. And I woke up from my dream, and it was the first time in a long time that I felt just an absolute, again, I can't describe it as any other way, but just overwhelming peace. And everything was gone in my being. And I was smiling again. And I woke up my wife and I go, "We're going to be all right." And of course, she was already there. She's like, "Well, I know that. I don't know why you're freaking out." And I'm like, "No, but seriously, it's going to be okay. Her lawyer has favor. It's totally great." And I told her the whole dream, and she goes, "That's amazing, Daniel. What a sweet God we serve." So I get a call. It was my lawyer. He said, "Hey, can you come in before I go to the courthouse?" And I was like, yeah, I got something to tell you. So I walk in, and I go, "Well, you first, and I'll tell you mine." And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Well, good news and bad news. Good news is I'm going down there. Bad news is, out of every single judge that we could have been assigned to on this one, we got the worst possible one. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, this lady is pro-California, very liberal. She actually doesn't think on anything. She makes decisions and she's done. And he goes, and this is going to be hard to get her to go against the California judgment. And I was like, still, well, you want to hear mine? And he said, yeah.
Wild.
So I tell him the whole story, and I said, so the end, I go, you have favor. It's okay. I'm glad you said this because I just had this dream. God already prepped me for this. I got to tell you, you have favor. Go into this and know you got it. And he literally looked at me like I had 15 heads, and he goes, Daniel, I hope you're right. And he was a believer. He goes, I hope you're right. I've never heard anything like that before. I go, me neither. I go, but I can't explain it. I have such a peace. And he goes, okay, I'm going to court. So he took off. He calls me and he said, you're never going to believe this. So I go, I believe it. And he goes, no. It's not what you think. He said, remember I told you she doesn't think on anything? And I go, yeah. He goes, she heard the whole thing and she said, I want a night to think on this. And I'll let you know tomorrow. And if that's not another dun, 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 let's hold it. And again, I was like, sweet. We just have to pray that now she'll listen and God will talk to her in her dreams. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I go, no, this is it. It's just a setup. It's the way God works. It's totally good. He's just trying to make it right. He's doing what he's doing. And he was like, man, I hope you're right. And the next day, that's what she said. She took the judgment and she said, it's different enough. I agree. Boom. And immediately the lawyers talked and goes, what do you want? Let's end this now.
Wow, dude.
Crazy, crazy stuff.
Wow.
I love it. But that's the God we serve. He has not changed from past, present, to future. He is the same.
It's crazy.
Do we see miracles today? And I struggled with that for a long time. You hear about all these crazy miracles and these things in other countries and blah, blah, blah. And I've said that before. Why doesn't it happen here? And I'm going, oh, wait. How I missed the parting of the Red Seas. How I forgot about all these great things that you have done.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
I love it.
Stellar.
Yeah, look at we're at 48 minutes.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You got anything else?
I got nothing else.
You have a lot. So we're going to come back to this. I think this is next year. We're going to be ready for this. I'm just going to go ahead and prep this. Duffy does have stuff that'll blow you away. But I think we have to set this up properly because I've said this before. I'm going to get serious right now. Sorry. Seriously. I'm going to get serious. We deal with a God this great, this amazing, this powerful, this gifting, this just like we talked about in our last episode. I mean, the greatest interruption of all time, right?
Yeah.
There's an enemy.
Yep.
And he is nowhere near as great, nowhere even close. But according to who we are as a being, he has the ability to destroy us without God. And there's some crazy stuff that happens there. And I've always told my kids that too. Like, whenever you're looking at chaos in your life, if you would put your spiritual goggles on and see that everything is God or Satan.
Yeah.
Everything is good or evil. I mean, it's the most epic. That's why these movies are so great. They're not even spiritual movies. That's why we connect to them so much. And kind of keeps our eyes off of it. We're going into Star Wars and Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers and the Jedi Knights, and that the most epic story of all time is right in front of us, and it's happening to us daily.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole other side that doesn't need power through stories of what it's capable of doing, but what God is capable of doing.
Yep.
I want to talk about, and I hope we can have a conversation on that, and we'll figure out. That's going to be one of our few rare planned episodes. But just the spiritual nature of our daily lives and the things happening around us of light and dark, and what I think a lot of us miss or don't see or don't even realize is happening.
I dig it.
So Set up.
Set up.
Okay, sweet. All right.
So it's a Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And happy birthday, Daniel.
And happy birthday, Daniel.
So this is what it is tonight. Is the greatest, not the greatest night. Let's take that away. But it is the greatest night for me right now during this time, because my mother always told me, she called me Danny. Danny, if you will go outside at 12 o'clock, the world will celebrate you. And so every year at 12 o'clock, I go outside and I close my eyes and I thank the Lord that the world is celebrating me. For one day.
Put a bow on it. Look at that. Look at that.
All right.
That's pretty good.
I'm not the greatest interrupter of all time, but at least I get a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. I'm going to give it to you to pray out.
Jesus, we just thank you so much for the big and small ways in which you interrupt human history and our lives. We thank you for the crazy twists and turns that happen, and the way that you kind of work in and over and through what feels like sometimes happenstance and absolute randomness. We now, in this prayer, we're on the side of the Christmas story, and there's a whole lot of crazy things that had to come together, of interruptions and wild twists and turns, and yet you are going to bring your own presence and a sense of peace that goes beyond human understanding. In the middle of it, you are the calm in the storm, and you still are to this day, and you will be forever. You are the same yesterday, today, tomorrow, forever. So we thank you, Jesus. We thank you for 2025, and we praise you even in the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all of it. We thank you for a new year of life, and be with all of us, Lord. We give you all the glory and the honor and the praise. It's in your beautiful name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Wait, I just thought about something.
Yeah.
I wonder if my mom told me that, so she didn't have to buy me gifts.
Dun, dun, dun.